So a lot is being made about Arman Tsarukyan allegedly going unconscious when he was in Charles Oliveira's dark choke. The dark.
It's the dark. They call us the dark.
No, but that dark choke was pretty tight, according to Charles Oliveira. So tight that he believed that Arman Tsarukyan fell unconscious. We all saw it where Arman went limp, flattened his body, belly down, but then he woke up and stayed in the choke for like another 15 seconds. This is something I was talking about in my scoring video. If he really was unconscious, it's unlikely that he would sit in there for another 15 seconds and not get put out again. How does he go to sleep and wake up while still being in the choke? Well, he doesn't. He actually prepared for this even before the fight. This is a video of Arman Tsarukyan before the fight even happens. The same kind of technique. But before we get into how he did that, first let's see what Charles Oliveira had to say about it, and then we're going to talk about why Arman Tsarukyan in fact did not go unconscious. So this is what Charles had to say, quote, 30 seconds left, it was tight, one of the submissions I liked the most.
The dark.
I thought he went out, that's why I had my tongue out. No, did he? Only joking, you know, but I don't know, it's part of the game. Some things aren't meant to be. Guillotine, I don't lose this position. Arman was a super tough guy, I connected some strikes, had bad and good moments, 3 rounds, 3 submissions locked in, and time ran out. It wasn't meant to be. I had to finish him, it went to the judges, and it's their call. There's nothing we can do. If you go back to the first round, you'll see I tried to finish him more, and they scored it for me. The second one was closer, and I ended up with a triangle choke locked in, and they gave it to him. The third, he was on top, holding me there, but wasn't doing jiu-jitsu or anything, and I finished with a choke locked in, and they still have it to him. There's not much we can do. We don't need to be desperate to return. I want to come back to training as soon as possible. Of course, a fight with Max Holloway would be wonderful, but he'll definitely go back to his weight class to fight for the 145 title. Justin Gaethje hurt his nose, so we have to think, what's the next move for me? Unquote. Interesting take about the judges giving the rounds to each fighter. He believes because he was the closer guy to finishing the rounds, he should have probably have won. That's what I'm getting out of this, even though he didn't say it. He's kind of implying that by saying that in the first, second, and third rounds, he had submissions locked in each of those, but at the end of the day, he can't control the judging. And this comes all down to Arman Tsarukyan going limp inside that Darce choke. What really happened here was that Arman was defending against the choke, not necessarily getting out of it, but relieving the pressure of the choke itself. So Charles Oliveira is in a turtle position with the Darce choke chest pressed above on Arman Tsarukyan. Arman decides to go belly down, flat on the mat, and Oliveira is trying to scoot his way to the right side because he's looking to trap that one left leg or just turn Arman to his side so he can compress more and fully lock the position and the choke in. But Arman stops him from going that direction. It's very easy to miss. With Arman's left arm, you can see it right here. He's bringing it across to block Charles Oliveira. So he's swinging his arm towards Charles to grab him and stop him from moving that direction. So his left arm is on Charles, and with his right arm, he brings it under himself and falls flat to the mat. Now this is an actual defense against it, relieving the choke as Charles is not going to be able to put as much pressure with his chest on top of Arman. And it's also difficult for Oliveira to move to his right to get that leg because even in this position, he can get the leg of Arman, but Arman's left arm is still there, blocking Charles Oliveira from moving. It's just hard to see from the camera angle, but we saw his arm go that direction and never came back. Then you see Arman posture up, and he brings his left arm that's around Charles, he puts it under himself, takes out his right arm, and focuses on the elbow of Charles Oliveira, as Oliveira is flattening himself to try to apply as much pressure as he can on the neck. When the round ends, you can see that Arman's left arm is under himself, and Arman Tsarukyan defended this way even before the fight. There's a video on his YouTube page. He did almost the same thing in preparation before the fight. Brings his right arm toward his leg under himself, falls flat to the mat. His training partners try to rotate to the side to get him at an angle, and you can see Arman with his left arm blocks him. Now this was demonstrated by the master Henry Gracie. He explains all of this perfectly, that what Arman does here is in fact a type of defense against the choke. And another point of reference is from Chad the Beast Hardy. Shout out to his channel as well. He's a BJJ grappler. He shows a similar thing here as well, and he demonstrated this a year ago. So moving forward, if a fighter is flattening himself inside of a Darce choke where the opponent is on top of him, this is a sort of defense and is not to be mistaken with the fighter going unconscious. It might still be possible to choke somebody out if you just have a crazy squeeze or something like that, but at least in this fight, Arman seemed to be okay. Now, the choke itself was still threatening somewhat, where Arman had to address it, of course. The position wasn't all the way locked in, but initially the choke itself was.